They came back.
Yeah, back here. I think as I walked around today and talked to a lot of you, I know that a lot of you had a blast yesterday, whether it was the wonderful speakers we had here. Got to hear from Oscar and Scott in one day, which is pretty rare and fantastic. And I think the reception, I heard the reception, you really enjoyed the reception. And I enjoyed it. There was great food, great drink, good music. I saw some dancing over there. Were you dancing? Did you? I did. All right, next time I push it over there. It seemed like everybody was really enjoying themselves. And one big feature of that celebration was the folks that had the lanyards on, right? Remember Brian mentioned that? Mm-hmm. Hopefully you had a chance to find them. And I know a lot of you were looking for the IT guy, the technology guy, because you were asking me, where's that technology guy? But hopefully you found who you wanted to speak to, and you got your questions out there and had a chance to engage a bit. The intent of that, having those folks there with lanyards that you could interact with was not this. That was not the intent. Sure. So that's David Kinzelman, who is the Vice President of International, and I'll be coaching him regarding that. So his behaviors, maybe trying to ask him a question. All kidding aside, one takeaway that I have realized relative to backstage and really the reception, where I'm able to really engage with people and hear your stories from around the globe, is what wonderful people we have at United Airlines. We really do. I mean that sincerely. I mean that sincerely, and honestly, it gives me a lot of, not just hope, a lot of real solid confidence that our aspiration to be the #1 airline in the world and what we all have to do together to get there, that we absolutely got this. We're going to get this done. So, fantastic.
And speaking of awesome people, where's Donna Raby? Where are you, Donna? Stand up for me, please.
Is it Donna back here? Sorry,
there you go.
lights.
I see you.
Sorry.
So, Donna Raby, I wanted to celebrate Donna for a second. So, Donna has been with the company for 35 years. She's an employee in our customer care group, and she will retire at the end of this week. And Donna, she is the epitome of taking care of our customers and showing core forward in customer care. Her customers love her. She started her career in 1985 in cabin and food services. And then she moved on to baggage, and for the past 6 years has been in customer care. So can we just all give Donna a round of applause?
Congratulations, Donna. I had a chance to, I never met Donna before, but yesterday I actually bumped into her. She was sitting right over here. Not knowing the story about her retirement, by the way. She's a bundle of energy and positive energy. I really, it caught my attention when she mentioned to me that she's only here until Friday. So congratulations on your career, Don, and have fun in your time. So remember yesterday was about, pulling back the curtain, right? You got to hear from these great speakers, which include Oscar and Scott. I was really focusing yesterday a bit on the how. Okay, today what we're shifting a bit to is the why. Okay, that's what we're going to focus on today.
And so today we're going to get our hands dirty. And so let me tell you a little bit about how that's going to happen. This morning, we have a few more awesome presentations from a few more leaders, and I think you're going to leave those feeling really inspired and more informed. But after that, that's where you're going to get to see, to feel, to experience more of how we can elevate the service that we're providing. And we're going to do that through the rotation of 3 breakout sessions. And I'm going to provide some more logistical information on this later, so don't worry about the when. But let me tell you a little bit more about these breakout sessions. So one is called the showcase. And the showcase is in the main reception area. And that's where you're going to have an opportunity to engage in really useful discussion with your support teams. We have loads of folks here to talk to you from a variety of different areas of the business. And the common bond with all of them is that they're here to make all of your jobs easier. So you're going to hear from them on what's going on in their world, what are they working on. You're going to give them some feedback on what you think of some of those things, what's working, and what do you need some more support on. So that's one I really encourage you to engage, get involved, ask good questions. So that's showcase. The second session is workshop. And the workshop is called Elevating Our Service. And that's where we're going to experiment with new techniques and new approaches for seeing if we can raise our game as we talked about yesterday. And I think you're going to enjoy that a lot. And then the third workshop is one specifically that you told us that you want more training on. And this is when you're faced with a situation that is escalated and is very tense, what are techniques to de-escalate that situation? You've got a customer in your face, you've got someone screaming to you on the phone. What are some techniques that you can use to actually calm the situation? And this one we're calling calm. So I think you're going to like all of those today. So again, as John and I said yesterday, you need to try to push yourself a little bit outside your comfort zone in a good way. We encourage you to do that. And we're excited to hear what you think. Now remember, it's the small things in the toughest situations that really can make the biggest difference. And so I want to show you an example of someone, one of our colleagues, that epitomizes this and brings this to work every single day. And I think you're going to enjoy it. So have a look.
By the way, guys, my name is Pharaoh, and I'd like to take the opportunity to welcome each and every one of you. How you doing? Welcome. Come in. I'm Pharaoh. My pleasure to meet you.
He brings such caring, efficiency, dependability, and safety to work because he truly does care for everybody in his work.
You are awesome, and I love you more than you love yourself. Absolutely.
He's not pretending, he's genuinely enjoys what he does. And it comes through in everything he says and everything he works.
He displays what we all aspire to be.
How you doing? Say it again. Say it again. I love you too. This is the man.
Fair now, baby.
You made my day.
You made my day, man.
You made my. How are you doing? Thank you for flying United today, Corbin.
I was able to totally take it from us. It was amazing. He's got phenomenal customer service and he's on point.
I've been up since 10 o'clock last night. I've been sitting here for 2 hours. I'm this close to being home.
But guess what? I'm gonna get you there. I promise you. Let me be ready. Hold on a second. I'm very apologetic and I understand that. I'm gonna do my best to get you out of here. That we're waiting for our crew. It's here. It's going to take them a few minutes, but in the meantime, guys, I want you to come up and grab some of these snacks right here. They have choices. They made a choice to fly on United, and we're going to deliver. But you need to engage with them. Let them know how much you appreciate it. That you're apologetic. That's it. It's magic.
We're a bunch of people that have been delayed 4 times now, and we're just having fun. Why? Because he's interacting with people. We've got gentleman over there, right? Is she stressed about not getting home right now? Probably a lot less since he's talking about it. It's contagious.
Just to let you guys know, we're going to do a quick security check. Once that's done, we'll get you on your way. Yes, ma'am, we are going. So here we go. People who are upset, just go and apologize. Be personal with them. You know, that's all they want. They want honest answers. They want the truth. Whether it hurts or not, tell them. They deserve that.
Honesty is the best policy.
This guy's
Oh, it's the best thing ever!
As long as I can see
Thanks for sale. And the video, we want to promotion.
Oh, thank you. Oh my God, ain't that nice? I guess he just blessed me. If they smile, you know what? That means you've done a great job. If they're not, then that means you need to do more to make sure that they're happy. Remember this, without them, you're nothing. I'm telling you guys, that means we're doing something the right way.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Vice President and CFO Commercial, Michelle Brown, and Vice President Network Planning, Ankit Gupta.
It was great kind of catching up with so many of you last night, meeting new friends and reconnecting with old friends, and I'm even more grateful that you're here and are so early in the morning, so thank you for that. What Anu and I are going to do is take a few minutes to talk about our growth strategy. It's something you've probably heard a lot about. Growth is good. It means that we're going new places. It means we have more customers. It means we're a bigger airline. We have more employees. And what we want to do is give you some context for what that means financially. What do we do with all the money that we make, and more importantly, how do we spend it? So, if you think about all the revenue we earned in 2019, what do you think our biggest contributor to our revenue was? Any guesses? I hear a lot of it, I can't make out anything.
Bags.
Bags. Not the top. Our biggest contribution to our revenue is our domestic mainline flying. About 39%, 39 cents on every dollar comes from our domestic mainline flying. So if domestic is first, what do you think's next? International. You got it. There we go. 33 cents on every dollar. Followed by
Cargo.
not quite bags, almost.
Cargo.
Express, United Express. 16%, 16 cents on every dollar. Next is where we get to our bags. All right, bags and seat upgrades. About 3 cents on every dollar. Any idea of what comes next? Usually this is one that people yell first.
No. Basic economy.
Cargo. 3 cents on every dollar. And then in the last bucket, which we call others, so if you think about our Chase relationships, so all the money we make when people use their Chase card, our lounges, our food, buy on board, this is a composition of how we made money in 2019. So if this is how we made money, how do you think we spent it? What do we spend the most money on every year?
Profit share.
Oh, that's right. Fuel by far. Fuel, 21%, 21 cents on every dollar. The good news is that last year, 2019, fuel cost us a little bit less. So we saved about $354 million, or the equivalent of 2 cents on every dollar, because fuel prices were lower in 2019 than they were in 2018. So next, if you think about our cost, any ideas like the other places where we spend money on?
Payroll.
Advertising.
You're right.
No, payroll.
It's all lumped in. And so I'll just walk through it just to give you some
Payroll
context. So the
and
next
insurance.
category is if you think about all of you who work at our airports, our contact centers, our CTOs, this is about 15 cents on every dollar, not just on salaries, but everything that it takes to run kind of our operation and the groups where you work is about 15 cents. Next is our crew, same thing. If you think about our pilots, our flight attendants, what we spend on hotels, about 15 cents on every dollar goes to that.
We don't have to pay them that.
Next is our fleet. We have to buy new planes. We buy new planes, we buy leased planes, 11 cents, about 11% on every dollar. We have to do maintenance. So if you think about tech ops, all of our technicians, what we have to buy in parts. When you think about all of our ground service equipment, all the GSE that you have at the airport, about 9 cents actually. And this was, I said 10 because last year this was about 10 cents. So shout out to the tech ops team, we got a little bit more efficient in this area. About 9 cents on every dollar goes to our tech ops fees or cost. And then if you think about M&A, management administrative, so all the people who work here at the CSC, all of our frontline supervisors who are out in the field, about 3 cents on every dollar for management and administrative salaries. And then we get to our last bucket, which is kind of everything. If you think about all the things that it takes to run the airline, I heard people say marketing, we have to invest in technology, we have to, I showed you cargo revenue, there's also a cost to running our cargo operation. That's where everything is left. So if you add all of that up, what do you think is left for our profit? Guesses? I'll tell you. 9.4 cents, which is fantastic. It is 9.4 cents is great that we're profitable. Last year we made about 7.2 cents, so we are moving in the right direction. But it just goes to show you that every penny really counts. If you think about all the ways in which we made money and all the ways where we have to, what our expenses are, 9.4 cents is left.
Yes. That's not bad.
So why is profit important? Profit is important for a lot of reasons. Profit sharing is a big one. But a profit also allows us to reinvest back into the business. So if you think about like investments we make in each of you, and I'll show a few examples. And our customers, as we build new lounges, as we add, change the seats on our aircraft, as we add like new facilities on our aircraft, buying new planes. It takes a profit to do these things. You have to reinvest back in business, and that's what we do. Specifically, these are a few examples for airport operations, but if you think about like what we call our map devices, so when a CSR is able to meet a plane using a mobile device, this is an example of investment that we were able to do because we made profit. We made an announcement that we're going to have larger overhead bins. We rolled out Connection Saver. I think this is something both in the airports and the contact centers and probably in the CTOs as well, helping our customers make connections. It took a lot of investment to tether together that technology. That's an example of what we do with our profits. Better tools, both at the gate and how we each communicate with each other are things that we do with the profits that we make. Specific examples on the contact center side. So I've heard about the contact center co-pilot. I've heard about artificial intelligence and trip narrative. These are examples of what we're able to do, again, because we made a profit, how we reinvest it back into the business. If you look at this chart, you can see, if you look kind of at the year 2000, we were barely profitable, and then we had a little bit of a dip. And coincidentally, in 2010, which is also the year where I started at the airline, we've been on this upward trajectory, and we're making profit. I don't know if it's coincidence or not, but that is when I joined the team. But no, in all sincerity, I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, were working at the company or in the industry at a time when we were below the line. And those were hard times. That's not a great place to be. Where we are is fantastic. We have, like I mentioned, our profit this year is better than it was last year, and we're continuing to inch up. We're making great progress. And so if you look at where we were, this is 2 years ago. Well, yeah, 2, almost 3. 2017. In 2017, our profit was 8.5%, but we're in 4th place. 4th place relative to all of our peers. That's not where we want to be. We're united. We're competitors. We want to be in the 1st spot. Getting to the 1st spot is moving to the next spot. That was a $500 million difference, just to put in perspective for what it takes. Good news is, we're profitable, and we've inched up. So in 2019, we're now at 9.4% profit margin, pre-tax profit margins. But to put perspective to what it takes to get to the next one, it's a difference of $1.6 billion. And so that's why we are so focused on how we can drive our revenues and all the things we can do to manage our costs. This just gives some context. If you look at what it takes us to operate each seat relative to our competitors, it's about $30 difference between us and our next closest competitor. Oftentimes people say, well, why? This chart is hard to read, but this just gives you an idea of our rents and landing fees and all the places where we operate, airports where we operate. Anything in blue is one of our hub airports, and what you can see is most of our hub airports are places that are more expensive. Now, the good side of that is that when it's more expensive to operate, you usually can get a revenue premium, there's a lot of business traffic, but it just helps give context for why it's sometimes challenging for us, given the cost structure that we have. So what can we do? Now that you know how we make money, what we spend our money on, why profit's important, how we reinvest, what are the things that we can all do to add to the bottom line? The first is just delivering great service, which you all do, and efficiently kind of solving customers' problems. That's the table stakes. When things go as people plan, it's better for everyone. Customers are happy, it's most efficient for the company. Along with that is just efficiently turning an aircraft. Same thing. Irregular operations are hard to recover. It's hard for each of you. But it's also expensive. And so everything that we can do to get the planes out on time, keep our operation humming, is the best thing to make sure that we're running efficiently. If you have an opportunity to offer our customers the products and services that we offer, so you can think about Economy Plus, I heard a few basic economies. I know you heard a little bit about that yesterday, but there are so many things that we have in the form of ancillaries that customers find value in. They're actually very good for us. And so continuing to offer customers these products are a big thing for us. And then lastly is just the prudent use of customer compensation. Before I was in Chicago, I was in Houston. I know what it's like when you're with a customer. You have to take care of the customer. But it is an expense, and it's one that we always have to balance. We want to do what's right for them and take care of them, and make sure that we're also kind of thinking about the company and running kind of a profitable organization. So with that, I'm going to turn over to Ankit, who's going to go in a little bit more detail around where we're flying to. Thank you.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Hi. That's like the energy we want. And first up, such a fantastic job by Michelle, right? A big help. So Michelle talked about all the great results that we've seen over the past couple of years. We talked about 2019, but we had great results in 2018 as well. I'm here to talk about what did we do to achieve those results from a network perspective. from where we fly perspective, right? But first up, when Michelle showed the slide, I have to do this every time, but Michelle showed the slide of where we surpassed Americans' profitability, there was like such a lukewarm response. Like we went from like being number 4 forever to being number 3 for the first time, actually second time. How about some energy for that? That's what I like to call kicking double S for the second time in a row.
Woo!
We did that in 2018 and we did that in 2019, that's right. And we will continue to do that in 2020 and beyond. And next attempt is kicking Denver, right? Alright? So what are we doing about it? Before I get into what we're doing about it, let me set some context. And for that, if you will look at this slide, this is the most important slide in my presentation. And if you take away anything from my presentation today, it's this slide. And you can see on the very left side, 2006 to 2016, let's call that old United for simplicity and for obvious reasons, which you will see in a minute. And 2017 and beyond, new United, because we have embarked on a new journey with new set of goals and complete new team, right? So you can see in 2006 to 2016, United was shrinking. In fact, you take a year, 2010 for example, or 2012 when we merged, we were neck and neck with American, Delta, and Southwest in terms of our share. So domestically, in the US and Canada, we were roughly 22% share, Southwest was 22, American was 22, Delta was 22, 23, right? So everybody was the same. Every year, United shrunk, and American, Delta, and Southwest grew. Again, we shrunk, and everybody kept growing, and now this gap in 2016 became such that we were not just number 4, but number 4 by a distance. We had 16% share, and our competitors had roughly 22, 23, or 24% share. And that's just not a good thing in any business. You can't shrink your way into profitability, right? You have to grow and take over share to be really more profitable. And that's why in 2018, early 2018, Oscar and team went up to the Wall Street and said, this is not going to happen anymore, and we're going to grow by 4 to 6% every year to catch back up on what we actually lost over the past decade in the old United era. So in the new United era, you can see 2017 we grew a little more than modest growth. Generally, we like to grow by demand, which is generally GDP, roughly 2 to 3%. Anybody who grows more than that is kind of given a slap in the hands by the Wall Street guys. You get punished in terms of your stock. In fact, the day when Oscar announced this, our stock fell by 12%, which is unprecedented. No stock falls by that much on a single day just because of an announcement, right? So that was really something that we took on our chin, but we knew that that was the right thing to do, and our results over the past 2 years have shown that. And you can see in 2018, we grew by 5%, which is right in the midpoint of 4 to 6%. But in 2019, what happened? Why did we not grow by 4 to 6? The maxes. So because of the maxes, we weren't able to fly all that capacity. So we weren't able to grow. But as soon as the maxes return to service, we'll put that number back up to 4 to 6% or higher, because we lost some of that in 2018 or 2019. Right? Makes sense? So that's why we're growing by 4 to 6%, and that's why there's such an emphasis on growth, because we lost all that share in that prior United era, and we're on a new, completely different trajectory. And what are we doing? So let's go through that. This growth is not just coming in one place. So I manage the domestic network, and this is the slide I like the most, is the growth is coming everywhere. If the growth was only coming in 1 or 2 places, then you kind of think that you're going to be done in a couple of years. Because there's only so much you can grow in 1 or 2 places. But because you're growing everywhere and it's working everywhere, whether it's coastal hubs or the mid-continental gateways, now Denver has some really good growth, 22%. That's right. I can't say Denver is my favorite hub, because I know from around the system. But Denver has been doing and showing great promise because of the great economic growth that we've seen in Denver. And we want to be able to take advantage of that. We are at roughly 500 departures for the first time in Denver last year. That's such a big achievement for Denver. It's never happened before. So there's been lots of firsts that have happened over the past 2 years, which we're really proud of. Now, when you look at this map, you think that this is a map of a mature carrier, so it's some mature airlines map. That's not the case. This is the map of our growth. This is the growth that we put into the system over the last 50 years. 320 daily departures, that's more than what Frontier flies in a day. That's the amount of growth that we put into the system. So we've grown more than the size of an airline. And that's why we talk about growth so much. It's because just unprecedented amount of stuff that we're doing. 110 domestic routes and, oops, jump ahead. 110 domestic routes and 28 international routes, roughly 140 new routes that we've added over the last two and a half years. So in the new United, over the past 2.5 years, we've added 140 routes. Can you guess how many routes did we add in the old United era in the 10 years? So 3 years, 140 new routes, right? How many routes do you think old United added in the 10 years? Any guesses? No matter.
35?
Except for that one. 987. That's not right. Any other guesses? 60. 45. So everybody would think that we would have added some routes in the 10 years, right? In 3 years, if we had 140, we must have added something. But guess what? United shrunk by 86 routes. So United reduced by 86 routes, right? So if you think about it, we're just catching up to what United had lost in the old United era, right? And that's why it's so important to go back into those cities, to go back into those routes, to claim back what we had given up for whatever reason it was, and just go, brute force, go back into our natural share. I can't stress that enough, right? And this is something that we're really, really proud of. This is the first ever Cape Town service. So back in Africa.
Cape Town.
Where did you start there?
Denise. Yolanda Brown, Denise, and it was like 8 of them.
What's truly unique about United is given our hubs where they're located, we are the only carriers who can do this. No other airline can really truly do this just because of such premium hubs that we have. So it's not just about the new and sexy destinations like Cape Town, it's also about this existing infrastructure that we have. And one of my favorite examples is Denver to Nashville. Denver to Nashville is something that you don't think about, but we used to fly 1 time a day over there, and now we fly 6 times a day. And we're doing much better in terms of how much money we make, right? And that's exactly how you go about managing your business. If you fly once a day and Southwest has 3 frequencies or 3 departures before you, no customer wants to be on you, right? If you're a business customer, you have 1 time a day service, let's say you leave at 10 a.m. and you have to get back at 1 p.m., you have to take the next flight the next day. You can't come back even the same day, right? Because you conduct your business on the day and take the next flight on the second day, and you waste 2 days. And that's why having more frequencies, more connectivity is so important, just like Denver Nashville. And we've added 268 new mainline departures versus 2017, and 36 routes are now seeing mainline service, which were regionals before, right? We're really proud of adding all those mainline services. Now, connectivity is something that we talk about a lot, and this is an example of a rebank. How many of you have heard about the rebank? All right, I'll give you my number or my card. You can ask me about it. We don't have enough time to discuss this, but rebank is something that increases connections. And when you enter a hub, let me just talk high level. If you enter a Delta hub, let's say Atlanta, or on average their hub, when you enter their hub as a customer, you see 70 connections, 70. So 70 different cities you can connect to. And American, when you enter their hubs, roughly 68 to 70 connections. Slightly behind, but kind of 70 connections, 70 different cities. When you enter United's hubs, it used to be 50 cities, 50, right? So you would see 20 less cities in the US or international that you couldn't even connect to versus Delta American. And that is a disadvantage. You just become less attractive the less connectivity you provide. So by doing this rebank, we're able to get more connections. That number of 50 becomes 60. So we've caught up almost halfway there, 60 instead of 70. But that's the beauty of rebanks, which you can talk about a little later. And you can get fuller flights. That means you can upgauge or get bigger aircraft because you have fuller flights, and you can order more aircraft. And this leads to us ordering new aircraft. which means that we'll have plenty of aircraft. This looks a little lopsided. We have 82 coming in 2020, again because of the Maxes, right? Because we weren't able to take all the Maxes in 2019, so they're just going to deliver a little later. But this is a phenomenal thing for the company, growing by almost 140 aircraft in a 3-year period, again something that is unprecedented. And the world is noticing, so everybody is noticing these improvements, these changes, and you can see the momentum, you can feel the momentum. When you're doing well, it feels good. And what's our plan for 2020 and beyond? Execute our growth plan efficiently, something that Michelle has talked about, something that Linda's talked about, John has talked about, and Brian's talked about. Make meaningful investments across the business and focus on improving the customer experience, not just premium customers, but all the customers. And again, something everybody's talked about quite a bit, so I'm going to skip that. And what this means for everybody in this room, that we'll have more than 1,000 customer care and contact center positions. That's such a big number, right? Aren't you proud of that?
Are they going to expand? Are they expand Houston or are they going to expand where?
1,000 people of our team come to us and we can collaborate more and give more service and be American inventor. And that means that we can also reinvest in our business. The more money we make, the more tools we can produce, the better engaged we are. So that's it for my presentation today. Thank you for everything that you do. All that I talked about would not be successful if it weren't for you and for the wonderful service that you give. Every time I'm at the airport, I have a great chance of seeing some of you out there, and I've never had a bad experience, so please keep it up. Thank you again.